In this video, let's check out how to do a variety of different water fountains in Tiny Glade. So to do this, first let's get a base down. And we'll add some steps around, just because why not. Then we want to add our first round block here, and this is going to actually be the wall of the fountain. So with the wall erase tool here, we can erase a little section to turn it from a building into a wall, and then just connect these end nodes together. And then we can move this back into place and continue. We'll add another rounded building piece here, and we'll actually change this floor colour to be like a blue wood, just so it represents water a little bit better. And then we want to start adding the tiers for the fountain. So the one towards the bottom will be slightly larger, and the one on top will be the smallest we can make it. And to start adding the water, what we actually want to do is get the fence tool, we'll make it blue, and we'll add a path under to turn it into arches, and these are going to go around the tiers. So we'll make sure to put a path under the water fountain as well. And then we want to just cut up the arches here, because we're going to use small bits in the fountain. So let's start dragging these over, and we'll start putting them into place. Now, we don't want the arch too wide that we end up getting this little nib at the end, so we'll keep it a little bit shorter, just to make it look a bit more clean. And you'll see here, if you bring over the arch tool and it's too short, it's actually very difficult to change the height, so it's always better to bring it in taller than you need it, and then put it into place. If you want to make them floating like this, you want to add 2 sets of the same size cylindrical building piece, one on top of each other, and they essentially cancel out each other's pillars. That way we can add our own supports later on if we want. So you'll see here, I'm just going to use the wall tool to create a very small pillar shape, and then I will add this in instead. And let's raise all these up so that we don't encounter the same issue from earlier where we can't edit the height properly when we're over the water fountain. We'll just start placing these into position to start forming the cascading water tier. And at the very top here, we'll also angle them in a certain way over the wall piece pillar so that it looks like water is trickling from the very top as well. And once we have that, that is actually this fountain complete, and we can move on to the next one. Now, what about if you wanted a more square or rectangle fountain with more angular shapes? Much like the rounded fountain, we first have that base blue floor piece, and then a surrounding wall piece created by erasing the wall section of the build. And then what we'll do is we'll add little wall pieces in and just change their shapes around so it has some level of tiering to it. And then we'll just do the same at a 90-degree angle, so it makes almost like a bit of a cross shape. And then what we can do here is add the water into the little crevices to sort of make it look like the water is trickling from the top and coming down the stone. We can continue doing this as many times as we like to get the results we're after. And that is that more angular fountain complete. But what if you want a multi-tier water fountain, but you don't want it to be completely symmetrical? You want it to be a little bit unique. Well, what we can do here is create 3 levels of floating building pieces here, and then we can go from there on creating a more unique multi-tier water fountain. We do want these overlapping a little because the idea is going to be that the water is coming down from each one into the next. And now that we have them in place, we'll be using the same method as last time and using the fence tool when it creates an arch to form something that looks like water. And we'll position this in a way so it looks like the water is coming down from one tier down to the next. And we'll also add some small pillar supports here, just so it doesn't look too odd on its own. To get rid of the archways, if you come across them and you can't do it while over the water fountain, you can use a path tool on the outside and then lower this and bring it back into the scene. And that is how we create a more unique and symmetrical multi-tier water fountain. But what if you just want a really small water fountain? You don't want it to be too glamorous or anything like that, just a simple little water fountain. Well, we'll use the more rectangular approach again for our base, and we'll also put a small wall piece in here, and we're actually going to use a stair tool to try and create a type of spout look. So we'll place this up and then we'll remove the support underneath. And then we'll actually create a 3-node archway here so that the 2 outside nodes will be together and the middle node will be on the opposite side. And the reason that we're doing this is when it's placed correctly over a path, it actually gives it only 1 support, and this will be great for creating an additional spout look to our water fountain. It can be a bit finicky, but once it gets put in place properly, it does give more detail to your builds. And there we have 4 quick and easy ways to create water fountains in Tiny Glade. I hope you guys found this video helpful and let me know down below which one is your favourite.